The song is a condemnation of war, okay, as well as a warning about what the band perceived as Earth's imminent destruction through nuclear war. Oh, wow. So that's the sort of disillusion, the disconnection, um, almost the meandering, the way the notes were kind of being plucked and uh, how it was arranged in the beginning and then somewhat at the end. So now it's like they're trying to paint the picture of like nuclear war, the aftermath. Interesting. Wow. Okay, let me get into the lyrics here. I'm like, I'm sitting here almost zombieing out now thinking about that. I got the camera on. Greg, wake up. I'm absolutely awake. I'm alive with this actually.
It's showtime, folks.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Into the Music. My name is Greg, and I hope everyone out there is doing okay, hanging in there. Yeah, doing more than hanging in there, like doing really good. I hope so. And if you're struggling out there, well, I hope that maybe possibly that means you're actually listening to me right now. You're hearing this, and maybe through the song, and maybe something I say that might be stupid or whatever, enlightening, surprise. Maybe it'll actually make you smile and feel a little better. Anyway, with that said, I wonder if I'm going to feel better. I mean, I feel okay, but Roland is making a song request on my KoFi site. What is that? Click down below is a link, and it'll take you to a place where you can make a song request, and I'll guarantee to react to it. I can't guarantee I'm going to like the song, but I will absolutely give it a shot and see if it does actually change my day, change my mood, make me even happier, and well, maybe make me sad. I don't know what this is. The thing is that so the name of the song is Cenotaph, right? And I believe that's like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like a monument that gets erected for in the honor of someone who is buried somewhere else, or just they may not even be buried. They just may be missing, and it's gets erected in the honor of that person. And a lot of times it's for soldiers, um, who have died overseas. Here, I'm just talking in the context of the United States military, and yeah, and so to honor their memory and the country that they served. So it's interesting that um, Roland is giving me a song with that name as a song title. Um, so yeah, I don't know what I'm in for, but here we go. And the band is called This Heat. Never heard of the band, never heard of the song. So let me dive into it. It most certainly does. History repeats itself. the fields are full of poppies. History, history repeats itself. I like how it just transitioned into that. It needed it. It needed that. That was interesting. Let me pull that back a little bit. So interesting. For such a slow paced song, it's amazing how 4 minutes and 35 seconds, almost 5 minutes went by. Yeah, and I even pulled it back a little bit. It's really interesting. Let me get my thoughts together and on the other side. So that was one of those songs where I'm like a minute or 2 minutes in and I'm wondering where it's going. And here's the thing, I kind of figured out its DNA by that time. And let me explain that. So with the title of the song, it's making me think that it's, and also hearing them saying history repeats itself. Um, those were like the only kind of lyrics I was really picking up. I mean, there's a couple other things too, but um, I'm getting the feeling that, it's an anti-war song. And the first couple of minutes, it's just very sort of slow. Um, and it just this very heavy sound. I mean, not that the guitar was kind of like, it wasn't saturated with guitar, right? It wasn't anything like that, but it had all these sounds. I mean, the guitar was just like down, down. It was almost like lifeless. And that was their intent. I really do think that was their intent. That to basically match the title of the song, and I think what they're singing about, it's probably about, war. And if you go again with the name of the song and the meaning, then you're talking about people dying, soldiers dying, their memory, but they're they're missing, right? Or they're buried elsewhere, So there's that disconnect, you know. There's that we're erecting the statue, this monument, in your memory, but we don't know where you are, or you're somewhere way far away, and there's that disconnection, right, between body and where the tomb is being laid. I think that's powerful right there. And I think what they were doing with that music for the first couple of minutes, that they were just trying to make it this very sort of, I wouldn't say discombobulated, but it was kind of, it wasn't sort of pieced together. It was just these such very heavy, just type of just sound, just the guitar plucking, the bass, you know, and as although I knew what they were doing as a song and something that I may want to go back to or not, I wasn't sure about that. I'm not sure, like, when I would be going back, if that was all it was. And luckily that wasn't the case, because they made that switch. They made that switch where I actually stopped it and said that was needed. They needed to switch that up a bit. And it's really interesting how they made the switch, but the song, I think, stayed true to its intent and to its DNA, what it was going to be about. And it was a slight shift, but it was um it was impactful enough because it still stayed within the kind of sadness, uh and sort of disillusion and stuff like that. But there was, like, with that little change, it just, you took away some of that heaviness. The bass I felt like uplifted a bit with some of the notes there. And and then when it went back, right, because then after that change, then it went back to a more sort of, again, heavy and sort of, disconnection kind of thing. um but it was different. You didn't have as many of the sounds that you had in the beginning. You had some of that, but then it was a little different too, as far as, like, the rhythm. When I say rhythm, I'm always thinking like rhythm is moving and flowing, but you can have really slow, meandering rhythm. You can have fast, quick pace, whatever like that. But it was just a change in the rhythm a bit towards the end from what it was in the beginning. So that was really interesting. And it makes me appreciate the song even more, and it warrants another listen to. So, yeah, it evolved. All that happened in the 5 minutes or so, 4 minutes and 44 seconds of the song. And that's another thing too. Um, you know, songs, once you get past 4 minutes, I talked about it many, many times on this channel. Once you get past the 4 minute mark, now you get into a more sort of a longer song than usual. And that's the true mark. Is it like every second, it's like almost like a minute? Is every second like a minute, or is every minute like a second? So before I knew it, the song was over. So Roland, this is really interesting. A really interesting song request you gave me. Um, and now I need to get into the band a little bit and then the lyrics. Uh, Absolutely looking forward to it. I pulled some information up. So let me get into the band first. And I'm in Wiki, and this heat were in English. Yeah, I definitely picked up on the English accents. Um, English experimental rock band formed in 1976 in Camberwell, London. This is where I'd be like, "Oh my God, it was that long ago." The video that I pulled up for this in YouTube, it sort of gave it away. It said 1981, so I knew it was back then. But still, I do find it really fascinating that this was so many years ago. Uh, so this band was formed by multi-instrumentalist Charles Bullen, guitar, clarinet, viola, vocals, tapes, Charles Haywood, drums, keyboards, vocals, tapes, and Gareth Williams, keyboard, guitar, bass, vocals, tapes. So that's really interesting. Um, tapes. What the hell is that? I guess what? It's just they were pulling in some sort of, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try. Um, I mean, is that sort of like mixing thing, that they were doing, um, in addition to an instrument? I don't know. Let me know what that is. And they were punk rock, post punk, but they were also very experimental, confrontational, and politically charged in their approach. Okay, so that would actually match with this song. Like it would make sense now why they're doing a song like this. Their early styles was reflective of krautrock or inspired by krautrock, and then later experimental genres such as industrial music and post rock. And so Williams died of cancer in 2001. From 2016 until 2019, Bullen and Haywood reunited, playing under the name This Is Not This Heat. Interesting. Okay. Oh, and Haywood was a member of the progressive rock band Quiet Sun, fronted by guitarist Phil Manzanera of Roxy Music. That's the first thing that hits me as I went down a little bit into the next paragraph on Wiki. I'm not going to get too much further into the information. There's a lot of it, and uh, folks out there who love this band, Roland, you can just fill me in as you wish about this band to let me know, fill in some of the blanks, the dots, connect the dots for me. But in the meantime, let me get into the song here. This is cool. So I'm in genius.com. It's the lyric website that I usually use when I get into the lyrics. And I love when there's a contributor who writes about the song because it gives me more information. It gives me a different perspective than what I'm looking at in Wiki. And so I hope this is the case here because this looks good. So let me click on the link here and it takes me down. So Cenotaph is the last song on side A of this Heat's 1981 album Deceit. The song is a condemnation of war, okay, as well as a warning about what the band perceived as Earth's imminent destruction through nuclear war. Oh, wow. So that's the sort of disillusion, the disconnection, um, almost the meandering, the way the notes were kind of being plucked and uh, how it was arranged in the beginning and then somewhat at the end. So now it's like they're trying to paint the picture of like nuclear war, the aftermath. Interesting. Wow. Okay, let me get into the lyrics here. I'm like, I'm sitting here almost zombieing out now thinking about that. I got the camera on. Greg, wake up. I'm absolutely awake. I'm alive with this actually. So here we go. Chorus. History repeats itself. History repeats itself. Verse 1, Remembrance Sunday. Remembrance Sunday, a war to end all war. And the war that came after that to keep freedom's flag flying. Lest we forget the glorious dead. Poppy Day, remember poppies are red and the fields are full of poppies. So let me go back because with that first line, or the second line, so Remembrance Sunday, a war to end all war. So at first I took that in connection with what the contributor just wrote about a nuclear war and thinking, well, that's the war that ends all wars. But then he says, and the war that came after that, I think that's the nuclear war that they're talking about. A war to end all war that was supposed to be that's World War II, right? Supposed to end all the wars, and that was it. Um, to keep freedom's flag flying, lest we forget the glorious dead, Poppy Day. Remember, poppies are red, and the fields are full of poppies. Yeah, bloodshed. Chorus, history repeats itself, so repeats that again. Verse 2, and when the lights go on again all over the world, and when the boys come home all over the world, rain and snow will be all that fall from out of the sky. The kiss won't mean goodbye when Johnny comes marching home. Wow. Okay. Interesting song. Really interesting to listen. Um, I need to go back to this and yeah, let this. I mean, when it comes to war songs, right? I mean, so many bands, how they interpret, like the way they communicate their feelings about, and it's usually, it's anti-war. I mean, who's for war, right? Um, but it's just fascinating when I think about all the anti-war songs and the moods that they convey. It could be like in your face, ramped up, this heavy kind of, saturation of guitar and drums and just this craziness, and then, you got stuff like this, which is like it sets a very somber mood, and it doesn't veer from that. They could have been tempted to put, I don't know if they're the kind of band that sort of ramps up a bit and like, accelerates their sound and you have a rock kind of sound. I don't know. Um, but maybe some other bands would have been tempted to sort of change it up and put something really sort of, accelerated a bit. And they didn't do that here. They stayed true from the beginning to the end, and that's really interesting. So I'm going to go back to this, Roland. Thank you so much for this request. And Roland, you take care. You have a good day. And to everyone out there, what do you think about the song? What about this band? What is that next song that you think I should sort of consider, look into? Take me down that path for this heat. And with that said, I'll see every one of you in the next episode of Into the Music.